Danielle here, and let's call this tutorial video 2 because I mentioned in the video that I did for this little guy for a TV template that I would be back again and doing another template to be used in sort of December daily or your Christmas album, or it doesn't necessarily have to be used in your Christmas album, but that's kind of the colour palettes and things I'm working with for sort of Christmas documenting. But yeah, this is the phone one, which I put together. So a couple of months ago in my Week in a Life album, I created a little template for myself, just this little guy, which was just, I wanted to add in all the sort of music and podcasts and things I've been listening to that week. So I just created this little template from I made this phone ages and ages ago. So I just kind of used that as a template to kind of put in a load of, and then just like popped on top in a digital sort of file, the album covers and things that I was listening to, just printed that out and then backed it, and then just added like some puffies and some little chipboard pieces. But yeah, I really liked the look of this, and I thought that it was a really easy and nice way to add in just like things that you're listening to, with sort of minimal fuss. So I thought, well, what I'll do is I will create this as an actual template for other people to use, because I had a few people ask me like where I got it from and how I did it. So I sort of thought, oh well, I can do that. I can make it for other people. So yeah, so that's basically what I've done. I've created 3 different versions of this kind of stacked phone spread. So there's this one which has all the kind of Christmassy colours on it, and then you can just kind of add in, you can either use the digital file and pop your album covers on the top, like I had in there, and then print it out as like a one sort of item. And I've got that in this multicoloured sort of Christmas colours. I've got this pale pink, and then I have a grey one too. But also what I will include is this version, which has it's a cut file with these little bits cut out, so you can then kind of stick behind your little sort of windows of of your albums. I did, as I was cutting it out, I did think like, oh, there's probably potential here to, I mean, I'm not that great with Silhouette software, so I'm not entirely sure, but I'm sure there's probably a way where you could turn these into perhaps little windows. So maybe only have it cut on 3 sides, so then you kind of have little windows, so you could kind of maybe do that and put like numbers on them. Yeah, I mean, feel free to do that, because that's not something I have any skill in, I'm afraid. But you could do that with a craft knife, actually. You could print this one out. Oh, that's sort of stuck in there. Come on. Oh. Yeah, you could print this one out, and then just use a craft knife to only cut 3 sides on each of these little squares. So then you kind of have that ability to just have these little windows, which will be quite neat. And kind of use it like almost like an advent of what you were listening to. That's not, that one's just didn't quite cut through the edge on that one. It's just started, like I've had it for a few years now, my Silhouette, and it took me a long time to learn how to use it, but it's just starting to creak at the edges on like a few things, which is a little bit annoying. There we go. But yeah, so this is the kind of version here with the pre-cut holes. And then what you can do is shrink down little album covers and then sort of stick them, behind the behind these little squares. So yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking. And then I've also done this within the file. There'll also be another cut file for just the actual phones themselves, just sort of cut out with a little offset on them border. And then these guys, I mean, they come in all different sizes. You can kind of, you don't have to use this size. I just kind of created a little file of them in this particular size. So I'll just peel all these off in their different colours as well. Okay. And then, yeah, these guys, you can use sort of slightly larger album cover sizes on these. So these on this thing are they're just shy of 10 centimetres by 5 centimetres. And the sort of little windows, I think that it's like an inch. Is it like, I feel like it's, I did like a little cutout. It's just over an inch, I think. Maybe it's bigger than that. We'll see. But I think basically what I was trying to do was create a version so that I could use one of my punches as well. So I have this this punch, which says it's 2 inches, but it's not. I don't quite know. Maybe it's because it's 2 inches across. Whoops. Yeah, okay. So it's 2 inches across, but it's actually like, it's like not even an inch and a half that way. But this is great size-wise. This is one I just punched this out of some white cardstock. But this fits in here quite nicely. So this is a sort of another option. So you could do these guys, like punch out little album covers and then stick them on the top like that. So this also works as like another option. If you kind of don't want to go the cut file route. Also, the sort of handy thing about doing it this way is that you kind of can create a slightly more 3D sort of look by basically getting some foam pads and sort of bumping it up a little bit, and then popping that on top. And then you've kind of got a few options here, because you could either just have these stuck on a sort of 6x8 page, sort of stacked like this, or you could use some of these little kind of, they're little punched holes, pre-punched holes with a sticky strip, and you could always sort of cut out and sandwich like one on the back of the other with just sort of like little bits in your album, just here and there, of what you were perhaps listening to that day. So you could just trim this down and pop it in your album as a little flip. So there's a few sort of options with these things as to what you can do. I just kind of wanted to create some files so that they kind of give you the chance to come up with a few different ideas for them. So what I will do is test out a few of those things and then kind of show you what's possible. So yeah, I'll punch out these little albums and then stick them on these die cuts, and I'll also use a few smaller sizes to stick them on the back here, so you can kind of see what that looks like too. Because then again, this can either be, if you don't want to lose the windows by punching holes in them, then you could always just cut glue on this and then have that in your album. You might just have to trim it down slightly on this side to do that, or you could shrink the file slightly in whatever sort of software you're using to print. But that's another sort of possibility, that then you can have that in your album too. You can just punch holes straight into here, but obviously you just need to be aware that you're probably going to punch into your album covers. So I can show you what that looks like anyway. So yeah, and then these ones are just sort of like straight up blank templates for you to use however you want. So again, you've got the option to sort of stick the little album covers on, and again you could pop things up on foam pads if you want to. You could leave them flat because they still end up having a slightly sort of 3D element to them just by that, or do what I did in that album and find some sort of chipboard pieces and things to kind of give you that 3D sort of element. Yeah, so I'll go away and I'll do a couple of little different bits and pieces, and then I'll come back and kind of show you what you can do with them basically, and how what the end result is. Okay, so yeah, I'll be back in a mo. Okay, bye. Hello, I'm back. And I had another idea while I was sort of sticking album covers on these little die cuts, and I thought that there's no reason why you couldn't make a sort of little a little kind of mini album out of this too, and that could still live in your December album as well, because you can just hook these things onto the sort of inside the album, like you know, things hook onto these without any problems at all. I've done that in albums before, and it looks really neat, and it's just another kind of little interesting flippy thing that looks real fun. You can kind of just hook them on. Oops, these little book rings you can kind of pick up anywhere really, but yeah, it's just like a little neat little thing that you could slip in between some days. Obviously you have to be careful if you've got a tendency to sort of make chunkier albums. You know, it's just going to add to the chunkiness. But yeah, so it's just a fun little idea that you could use as well, and you can print off as many of these as you want. There's 6 different colours, and then I've just sort of back to back them, and then you could sort of date stamp perhaps the day that you were listening to a particular album. You know, it sort of gives you options really. You can kind of colour coordinate the album cover to the sort of colour of the background. I just used some stamps to just sort of show you that you could, you know, kind of stamp a title on it. So I've just put Xmas Tunes and then 2022. This is a Kelly Winnell stamp that's Lara, which is really lovely because it's really nice and thin and quite small as well. And this is just an Ali Edwards number stamp, possibly from like a day in the life kit or a week in the life kit. I would have got this as part of that kit. Probably day in the life, I'm thinking. But yeah, so you know, you can just do that, and then just add a little enamel dot on there on top of the home button. So yeah, that's kind of like something you could do that's just like a cute fun little idea as well. Equally, as I said, you could just back to back 2 die cuts and then use one of the dividers to sort of pop them in the album like that as well. You could blow these up pretty big too, you know, you could get like a really nice size in there. You could even probably go 6 or 8 inches, you know, high, and have that just be like almost a full page. You could add you could do that, you could make it really big, and then you could stitch your pocket on the front with vellum half the size, and then you could slot smaller phones into that with your individual listening sort of lists on that, or you could write in your journaling and you could slide that inside the phone. So yeah, so many different options available with these things. So I really, actually, now I'm just saying it, I really like the idea of that pocket. So I might do that. But yeah, you know, like you could just make that a big phone, and then yeah, stitch on a pocket. That would be really cool actually. So yeah, so many different possibilities. This guy, I just kind of did this pretty quickly to show you kind of how that would look with the kind of holes having something pushed in behind them. It's just kind of like really dodgily stuck on the back, but then if you're going to back another like full page photo or something on here, it doesn't really matter. And just want to show you what a kind of a transparency would look like on it. So that's just a bit of acetate there, patterned acetate. But you could put like a shaker pocket behind one of them. You know, you could put pattern paper if you don't have something that you listen to every single day to fill every single hole, then you don't have to do that. You know, you could just put pattern paper or a number, like the day that you listen, you know, you did this sort of page, you could put the day on there, like 18 or whatever. Yeah, so it's just kind of options available to you really. And then equally, then there's these ones where there's no circle, no squares on it at all, no punch sort of squares, and you could just kind of, again, do what you like here. You're really kind of free to add whatever you want. You could journal on all of these. You don't need to write anything, put any photos at all. You could put screenshots of the albums. You could put photographs of sort of your family. It doesn't necessarily need to be, you know, album covers. Yeah, journaling, again, putting embellishments on. You really can kind of do whatever you like with them. You can make them your own, and then you just sort of punch your holes in, pop them in your album, and you're good to go. So yeah, sort of a few different kind of thoughts about what's possible. For anyone interested in this, I'll put the link to the website below so you can check it out. They've got a few different punch sizes. The biggest being this 3-inch guy, which is just slightly bigger than, I think it's, yeah, so it's 2 inches. So this guy's 2 inches by 2 inches square, but yeah, 3 inches across. So yeah, he's a big old monster. And then that's the 2-inch one, which is, it ends up being sort of just shy of 1.5 inches across. I do have a third one. Where is that? Oh yeah, this is the smallest one. So this is this is the medium sized one between the two. So this is 2.5. Yeah, so that ends up being sort of 1 3/4. So yeah, and then yeah, 2 inches, 2.5 inches across. But they're really good because it's hard, particularly in the UK, it's hard to find these sort of squares. I know Ali has like a passport photo punch that she brought, and it's really cool, but you cannot find it over here for love nor money. So I've looked around a lot, and these are the kind of closest I found to sort of square punches that will fit in sort of 2-inch pocket squares, because it's really hard to do that, and sometimes you just want to be able to punch something. You don't want to be sitting there hand cutting everything to the right size. It's a pain. So yeah, so these are really good for that. So I'll pop the link to the store for those below. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, anything else, obviously just let me know if there's anything particular you want me to link to you below. I'll also obviously link this template in the comments below, so you can go to the store and check it out. Yeah, and just a few ideas for you really about what you could possibly use these little phones for. So they're just a fun little thing, and yeah, hopefully make your sort of December album a bit fun and a bit kooky, a little bit different. And then you can use these outside of Christmas as well. So yeah, just a neat little tutorial there to show you what's possible. Okay guys, so yeah, I'll leave it there. Lots of love to you all, and yeah, any questions or anything, then feel free to pop them in the comments below, and I'll see you soon. Okay, take care, bye.